Hello. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes. Good evening.
Let me try and connect live Facebook. So the live stream is starting, so I hope everybody is ready. Our speakers have not joined, so the live stream is starting.
Let me try to get to them.
Um,
àmọye lọ́rọ̀ wọ̀nyí ọ̀tọ̀ ní orúkọ àṣẹ. ọ̀nà
Please, can you let them in? They both are trying to get in.
No, it's automatic. They come in. I don't, because it's open. I don't need to. It's only the attendees. If I need them to talk, that I allow them to talk.
Good afternoon.
But they are supposed to come in automatically. So if they use that link I sent to them, to bring them in direct. We are having
Apparently, it's telling them that we're yet to start. I don't know why that's.
it's already started and we are live.
Okay.
let them try.
Okay.
Let them close it and try again.
Professor has joined us now.
Awesome.
Professor has joined us. Professor Shola Adepoju has joined us. We have Lori Fernandez. I don't know where she's joining us from. We have Taiwo Crosby has joined us. If you are not speaking, you can mute your mic. If you want to speak, you raise your hands and then we can allow you to speak. The host for today's Part Week webinar is no other person than Yakubu Isa. So I'm going to transfer the organization of today to him. But before I do that, I'd just like to show all of us, I have some interesting back pictures on my wall here. We've been there for the whole week, celebrating the Bat Week. And
On my own. This is the one they see.
yes, and in the introductory to this week, we had a video, and I don't know if anybody saw it, but the basic information in that video that I was trying to convey is, you see, you don't love what you don't know. You love what you know. It was when I had the opportunity of learning about the agave bats in Mexico that I really fell in love with bats, and I stopped, being afraid of them.
That's the mistake she made.
So, Yakubu, you can start.
977.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. I'm by name is Yakubu Ogu, and I am a volunteer for WASI, and I will be your host for today's webinar, as we are going to look at a very small creature in our ecosystem, but has a very vital role to play in our ecosystem as well. And it's no any other thing, but we are here to discuss on the economic importance of bats and a whole lot of things surrounding bats. And we are going to look at them from a whole lot of perspective from our speakers today, who are going to speak extensively on the role bats play in our ecosystem and a whole lot of challenges facing bats in our current. So for the in-house rule for today's webinar, if you intend speaking, you can raise up your hand and we'll give you the opportunity to speak. That is when we get to the place of questions and answer. So I'll be reading out the profile of our speakers today in person of Professor Shola Adepoju and Temidayo Adeyanju. So I will indulge all of us to listen attentively while I read out their biography per se. Is everyone with me?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm starting by reading out the profile of Professor Shola Adepoju. Professor Shola Adepoju is the Director General / Chief Executive Officer of Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, FRIN, Jericho, Ibadan. He holds a bachelor's degree in agriculture, master's degree, and a doctorate degree in agri-economics. He's a professor of agricultural economics and environmental resources management. In 2019, he was appointed as the coordinating chair of the implementation committee for the planting of 25 million trees as pledged by Mr. President during the United Nations General Assembly. In furtherance of the federal government's commitment to productivity, improvement in the economy, and the ideals of excellence in service, Shola Adepoju was among the few eminent Nigeria honored with the National Productivity Order of Merit, NPOM, Award in 2019 by the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. As an erudite scholar, Shola Adepoju has to his credit numerous scientific journals and articles. He has made various presentations in several seminars and workshops within and outside Nigeria in the field of his expertise. He is a peer reviewer for many learned journals in the areas of capacity building, training, and development. Shola Adepoju has taught many students, supervised many research projects, dissertations, and theses at graduate and postgraduate levels. He remains a teacher and a mentor. He is a life member and fellow, Forestry Association of Nigeria, fellow Nigeria Association of Agricultural Economists, fellow Wildlife Society of Nigeria, member Farm Management Association of Nigeria, and member Horticultural Society of Nigeria. As an environmentalist, he has participated and served as a negotiator in several conventions of the United Nations on climate change. He presently serves as vice chairman, International Coordinating Committee of the UNESCO Man and the Biosphere, MAP, Bureau, and also serves as the coordinator of Ministerial Committee on National Afforestation Program. He is also the focal point man and Man and the Biosphere. As the chair of African Network and Man and Biosphere in Nigeria, he convened the 6th session of the AfriMab in Nigeria, a program attended by participants from 22 African countries and the international community. He also serves as the technical committee chair and member governing council Nigeria Forestry Trust Fund, among others. Research focus is in the area of natural resource economics and productivity, policy issues in agriculture and forestry, farm management, economics and strategies, poverty, food security and nutrition economics, food security, climate change, agroforestry production, and livelihood diversification, green enterprise and methodologies, inequality and impact assessment, land and labor productivity through governance, microeconomics and marketing, and production and value chain analysis of medicinal plants. Professor Shola Adepoju has been very instrumental and has played cognitive role in the development of successfully implemented green economy model for communities around biodiversity conserved environments, which has now been adopted by UNESCO for the region. Establishment of 4 livelihood enterprises, grass cutter, snarery, fishery, and mushroom production under the green economy model in Omo Biosphere of 200 project beneficiaries in 2016-2017. Development of training module adopted for the trainers of green economy and biosphere reserves, methodologies across the globe, and nomination of 3 additional biosphere reserves in Nigeria for approval by Man and Biosphere. International Coordinating Council in year 2020. This is quite notable because prior to this time, Nigeria had only one of such UNESCO biosphere reserves, which was established far back in 1977, over 4 decades ago. And from his wealth of experience, we are glad that he's joining us today and he will be speaking extensively to us, and I crave our indulgence to listen as he is going to do well to the topic of discussion today. I'm moving next to Temidayo Adeyanju. That is the second speaker for today. I'm going to read her biography. Temidayo Esther Adeyanju is a wildlife specialist with her growing area of expertise focused on bats and small mammals, ecology and conservation. She has her backgrounds in wildlife management and conservation biology from University of Ibadan and Jos, respectively. She has been actively studying the ecology and conservation of bats for about 9 years. Her interest includes effects of modification by anthropogenetic activities, both in the natural and urban land use types, human perception, knowledge and myths, and attendant effects on bat species population. She has worked as a volunteer in different capacities with leading conservation organizations, both nationally and internationally, as wildlife expert. Temidayo is enthusiastic and passionate about conservation of bats and small mammals. She has been privileged to receive grants and awards which have assisted her research work in Southwest Nigeria, and with many of these field research producing excellent findings. She co-founded Bats Life Conservation Initiative, Southwest Nigeria, a young conservation initiative with a focus at promoting conservation of bats, small mammals, and other members of biodiversity in Southwest Nigeria, with her husband, Dr. Taye Adeyanju, who is also a wildlife expert. She has used and still using much of her experiences, trainings, and exposure to train and mentor upcoming young wildlife students and professionals from related fields through various training, especially in bat ecology and conservation, both nationally and regionally, as well as conservation education outreaches to young children in both urban and rural communities. She's currently documenting the bat species within the Southwest region in different land use types and how anthropogenic activities affect bat species compositions and persistence. She has a strong interest in understanding the link and bond that ties nature, bats, and the society. Temidayo believes in sharing her opportunities and aiming for greater grounds in bat and small mammals research sphere, not just for Nigeria, but also West Africa. She loves family time, music, showing crafts, especially Kampala making and knitting, traveling and meeting people. So I present to you the two biography of our speakers today, and we hope that their wealth of experience and expertise will shed a whole lot of light to the topic of discussion for today. So we are going straight to opening remark, which is going to be done by Adenike Adega.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Yakubu. Good evening, everyone. My name is Adenike Adega, and I am privileged to be the Executive Director of WASI, that's Wildlife of Africa Conservation Initiative. And today it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome everyone on behalf of our founder, Mr. Felix Abayomi. We are delighted to have you participate in our Bat Week live webinar, as today marks the grand finale of the 8th-day celebration to raise awareness against stigmatization and protection of bats. I must say that your presence today, from wherever you are joining us, is a great reminder that our work is very important. And just for your information, WASI is a special wildlife conservation, research, education, and rescue initiative. And our vision is to inspire a growing generation to take positive actions on behalf of our wildlife. And as we are all aware that all over the world, 24th to 31st of October is set aside annually to celebrate the roles of bats in nature. Bat Week is designed to raise awareness about bats, their ecosystem services, conservation, and challenges that they face. And worldwide, bats are faced with threats, including habitat loss, pesticide ingestion, habitat destruction, indiscriminate killing, and what have you. So, and report has it that about 24% of bats are considered critically endangered or vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. So therefore, without concerted efforts, without concerted actions, their populations will continue to decline, which will drive many of these species to extinction. And today, we are honored, and personally, I must say I am honored to have Professor Shola Adepoju and our dear Mrs Temidayo with us. They both are experts in the field of conservation, and we trust that they will do justice to the topic given to them. To all our guests and participants, I would urge you to prepare yourself to be inspired today and be challenged to take positive actions on behalf of the beautiful creatures bats. So before I hand over again to Mr. Yakub, our moderator, I want to say once more, welcome everyone. It is wonderful to have you, and hoping that you will have a rewarding time. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Yakubu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adenike, for that wonderful opening remarks. Without wasting much of our time, I would like to say a big welcome to Professor Shola Adepoju, who is going to be speaking to us as the first speaker on bats' indispensable organisms in the environment. And as a forestry student myself, I am very much delighted and hoping to learn a whole dynamics from today's discussion. And
What's the voice? Hello? Are you there?
okay, I can hear you, sir.
Okay,
Yes, I can.
fine. Since I don't have the list of the protocol, let me just respectfully welcome all participants to this meeting, to this webinar today. And I must say, it's important, that's why I'm here. I have to break another meeting to be here and to let us know that we're not doing badly in Africa. I just took over the chair as the president of MAP ICC on the 20th of this month, just about 10 days ago. And to comment what you are doing, we've been able to add 3 more basket staff to the one we had over 4 decades ago. So now we have 2 basket staff in Cross River and 1 in Adija Nguru, added to the only basket staff that has been there since 1977. I'm saying this to encourage all of us because the area of conservation has been seen to be docile for some time, but I want to tell you that's the intent now, as we're able to get 2 of among you to among the 6 winners of the 5,000 thereabouts per person, $5,000 to conduct research on conservation in the world. 2 of the winners are Nigerians. And so that tells us that the field is open. So having said that, I would like to appreciate the Wildlife of African Conservation Initiative for organizing this and for inviting me as a speaker in this webinar meeting in commemoration of the Bat Week celebration. It is with utmost great pleasure that I will be addressing our esteemed participants on the topic Bat, indispensable organism in the environment. This topic is apt and timely, considering the various misconceptions about bats, particularly in the event of this pandemic outbreak. There have been very misguided perception pointing to bats as the origin of SARS-CoV-2, the virus responsible for the COVID-19 pandemic, even when there is no substantial or satisfactory empirical evidence indicating direct connection between bats and the virus. This negativity persists even when the World Health Organization has stressed that possible animal source of COVID-19 has not been confirmed or established. However, since the pandemic outbreak, bats has attracted considerable attention and persecution in relation to coronaviruses, consequently threatening the existence of over 1,421 species of bats worldwide. Now, the big question is this: did bats actually cause the COVID-19 pandemic, as widely acclaimed? The answer is no. Or rather, we the people caused the pandemic. We are presently living with one of the consequences of our actions and inactions on the environment. The consequences of yesterday's actions on today's world. Some of these consequences of our actions and inactions include: 1, unsustainable use of our overexploitation of the natural ecosystem, which has created a gap in the food chain, ultimately affecting all humanity negatively. You all agree with me on this? While number 2 is the anthropogenic activities, including deforestation ecological destruction, conversion of land for agricultural practices, habitat encroachment and destruction, unsustainable trafficking and illegal wildlife trade, which has all further disrupted the balance of nature, involving the emergence of new viruses and diseases and raise the risk of disease transmission. Number 3, human-induced environmental crisis and destruction of the zoonotic host habitat, which has modified wildlife ecological structure and caused biodiversity imbalance, inevitably creating a gap in the ecosystem with consequential increase in animal to human risk of transmission and more viral epidemic like COVID-19 outbreak. And last on this is finally rapid urbanization and exponential population growth, which is bringing people into closer proximity with the animal kingdom, subsequently causing animals to lose their indigenous habitats and becoming crowded together into a limited space, while animal species that survived this destruction are now moving and mixing with different animal and human who are never used or having any resistance to their cohabitation. Change in biological interaction among both fauna and flora species can lead to unduly irreversible and often undesirable alteration of ecosystem processes like we're experiencing now. Human alteration of natural ecosystem, which harbors varying flora and fauna species, have broken or even removed the natural barriers of pathogens, zoonotic diseases naturally circulating within the forest ecosystem. And because of this disruption, viruses and evolving diseases are losing their natural host and searching for new hosts. And so if they find some in human becoming the victim and the next host, then we should not blame the animal, but rather blame ourselves. The bottom line is if we are not able to curb the rate at which humans use biodiversity and its impact, then we should expect more epidemic, as most of these diseases will find their way to human as their new host. This then brings us to the indispensable functional roles of bat in the ecosystem. Bat plays significant economic and ecological role in maintaining health and stability of the ecosystem. They also contribute to essential ecosystem services, including provisioning, regulating, supporting, and cultural services. Bats provide value to ecosystem as primary, secondary, and tertiary consumer that support and sustain both natural and human-dominated ecosystem. Some of these indispensable functional roles of bat in the ecosystem include, but not limited to the following: pollination. Bats, just like insect and bird, play vital role in the pollination of plants. Some bats referred to as megabats various primarily feed on the pollen and nectar of fruit and flower. Unlike bird and insect which rest and sleep at night, bats are very active at night, thus providing pollination services, and that's why they are referred to as nocturnal. Seed dispatcher and reforestation. Bat plays important role in spreading and depositing seeds from one area to another, while at the same time significantly contributing to the and survival of the tropical forest ecosystem. Bats are the only mammal that can fly. In the process of migrating, bats can fly thousands of miles, such that their ingested seed-containing feces land on the ground while traveling. These seeds, surrounded by natural fertilizer, germinates in the soil, further contributing to deforestation of degraded land area. You can see that it has a lot of economic contribution. Biological insect and pest control. More than two-thirds of the 1,421 bat species are vocative insectivorous mammal. They consume various insects such as mosquitoes, flies, moths, grasshoppers, crickets, beetles, locusts, termite wasp, and so on. Based on this activity, they help in the protection of agricultural crops that would have otherwise have been threatened by the erroneous insects. In addition, by keeping mosquitoes in check, bats inevitably save people from measurable amount of sleep, reduce health risks, lower insect control costs, as well as reduce pressure from our health system. Ecotourism potential, though not as widely practiced as bird watching, bat watching is becoming attractive and growing as educational activities, as depicted in the picture on the screen. This, by the way, generates income in the form of entrance and permit fee in other developed countries, personal payments to guides who will be employed, drivers, scouts, and payment for accommodation are another source of livelihood and income generation. Soil fertility and nutrient recycling. The ecological role of birds in improvement of soil fertility and nutrient recycling cannot be overemphasized. This is attributed to their relatively high mobility and ability to utilize different habitats for roosting and foraging, resulting in nutrient transfer within their natural ecosystem. So they are also another source of economic uh, resources there. Not to take too much of your time, I will conclude with these words. The lesson for humanity from this pandemic is not to be afraid of nature, but rather to restore it, embrace it, and understand how life will benefit from it. That means your field of study, I particularly congratulate those who are in the ecological section or field, as well as as environmentalists generally. This is our time. This is when our field is lucrative. This is where we must speak louder. This is when we must sort of, okay, this is when we must popularize our field and make the world know the importance of our job. Changing our behavior, respecting the natural habitat, and recognizing the critical ecological and economic role of wildlife species, especially birds, in the maintenance and healthy functioning of the natural ecosystem, will go a long way in preventing future pandemic. I want you to take 2 minutes. I want to take 2 minutes of your time. This is Dr. Jane Goddard, one we have. We're planning next year to give the ambassador of conservation to UNESCO. I want you to listen to her in 2 minutes. Are you hearing now?
Hello, this is Jane Goodall. It is a truly terrible time you're going through, and my heart is with all who are sick, all who have lost loved ones. I just hope and pray that the nightmare will soon be over. I also hope and pray that the nightmare may end for the wild animals who are captured and kept in horrible conditions for food, or because some people believe that various animal parts can be used to cure diseases or give people strength and virility. Because animals, bears, pangolins, civettes, bats, rhinos, and so on, they all have feelings just like us. Like us, they suffer pain. Like us, they know fear, loneliness, and despair. All over the world, we've been destroying the places where animals live in order to get materials to build our homes, our cities, and to make our own lives more comfortable. And as a result, we've brought the climate crisis on ourselves. Many species of animals and plants have become extinct, and our too close relationship with wild animals in the markets or when we use them for entertainment has unleashed the terror and misery of new viruses. Viruses that exist in animals without harming them, but mutate into other forms to infect us with new diseases like Ebola, SARS, MERS, and now the coronavirus. We have amazing brains. We're capable of love and compassion for each other. Let us also show love and compassion for the animals who are with us on this planet. Let us all live in peace and harmony together. Thank you.
Now it is time to close the destructive chapter in our history and build a future where people can live and prosper in harmony with nature. Only this can ensure a sustainable future. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you for Thank you, Prof, for the excellent delivery of the topic. And I think from what you've said, we picked one or two lessons from the importance of bats in the ecosystem, and as well as our roles in ensuring their continuous existence. And without much ado, we are going to be listening to the next speaker. Then after that, we'll go straight to questions and answer. So I want to call on the second speaker, Mrs. Esther. So,
yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I can't see any option to share my screen now. Yakubu.
Okay,
Yes.
you are using Chiroptera.
Yes, I'm using Chiroptera.
Okay, hold on.
That's bats.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, check now. You should have the option now.
Okay, yes, I've seen it.
Okay.
Right. Can we all see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, just a moment. Okay. All right, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Prof. Nice to meet you.
Good evening.
Thank you, pleasure.
Okay, so I'm Adeyanju Temidayo, Esther, and I've been working with bats for some time now, close to about over 9 years, and it's been very revealing what we have come to understand about this unique creature. And because of my interaction with bats, I have been able to, I developed a little poem for them. That bats are unique mammals with the true nature of flight. You are not a bird nor a rat, yet you have the mastery of the night, moving through the darkness without a guide. But what a unique animal you are in your own right, bringing good to all the people you come across, to all the landscapes that you visit. Though misunderstood for many generations, yet still loyal to your true destiny, bringing benefits everywhere you are found. A few attend to my lips, such as ecological benefits, traditional benefits, and economical benefits. Oh, now I know much better about bats. So we want to find out what actually is the origin of bats. Bats have been around for several millions of years, over 50 million years. And even in the biblical times, they are part of the animals that God commanded the Israelites not to eat, not to touch. Amongst others, there were other birds too, the water birds, most especially. But it just happened that bats find its way among those category of animals that God said should not be eaten. Aside that, bat has remained a species of animal, or a taxa that have not modified in terms of changing their evolutionary trend over several millions of years. And as you can see from this slide, that they are more closely related to humans. And bats are the second largest group of animals after the rodents. Rodent is the largest. Bat is the second largest. They have remained stable. And we'll be seeing the possible reason why they have been persecuted and stigmatized for several times. All over the world, we have over 1,300 species of bats. There are two major groups of bats. We have the fruit-eating bats. They have like a dog face. And we have the insect-eating bats. They have different facial structures. And this facial structure plays an important role in their daily ecological functions. They are found everywhere except in Antarctica. For us in Nigeria, we have well over 70 species, and we are discovering new species almost every time we go to the field. So there is still lots of work to be done. And these different species in the indigenous settings have the different roles that they play. Bat has been attached to several myths, superstitions, and usefulness in various indigenous knowledge. And these myths and superstitions and indigenous knowledge, they vary with location. So what is obtainable in the English world or in Europe is different from what is obtainable in Asia, is different from what is obtainable in Africa. But Africa and Asia tend to share a similar ancestry in terms of what you believe about these creatures. And because myths are sacred history that links a particular event or that is attached to some particular people, or it could be fables that are linked to real-time happenings. They are also fragments of reality or whole truth. As we can see that with this new generation, we find out that to us, these myths are kind of old-fashioned. But from this research that we have been undergoing with bats, we found out that they are really rooted in ethno-symbolism. A lot of them have different meanings to different people at different locations in different places all over the world. So therefore, the knowledge about the bats and other wildlife species have a connection. There is a connection with the myths and their ceremonies, and these in a way link science, which I believe I'll be able to touch on one or two aspects of it. For us in Africa or in Asia, we see bat as bushmeat. It's a relish meat in restaurants and bars. A lot of people use it for relaxation, to take palm wine or other sweet wines that people use. And it's also an alternative protein, especially for the people that are within the rural areas. They use this as alternative source of protein. In some settings, bats they are used to predict climate and weather changes. And I must say here that bats are keystone species. They are indicator species. If you take bats out, it's going to affect some members of the biodiversity. And I believe that the climate and the weather are part of the abiotic factors of the biodiversity. And bats, when you take them out, they affect the roles that they play in telling us what is happening around us, the changes that is occurring. And yes, this is a very critical part of their myth and their superstitions. A lot of the African communities or the Asian communities or even the European communities have deep root beliefs in using bats as traditional rites and sacrifices. Okay, so we want to take a look at some of these myths and beliefs. So say bats are vampires, and they are linked with witchcraft. I believe a lot of us are smiling right now because when you hear bats, everybody wants to take cover. And then we watch a lot of vampire movies and say when the bats just land on your neck and they suck part of your blood, you just change, you become a vampire. Anyway, bat has beaten me before, and I think I'm still Temidayo. I've not changed. All right. So we used to say you're as blind as bats. So we believe that bats cannot see. You can see my bat is using very nice goggles. Say bats are blind, they cannot see. Okay. Some believe that bats are rats, or bats are birds, or bats are neither rats or birds. And this is attached to the fact that they are very unprincipled. You know, when you look at the folklore or the stories that surround them, they say bats are not principled. Well, I'll have to tell you that bats are very, very principled. Okay. They say bats do not spread disease. This is a common belief, especially among the indigenous people. They do not believe that bats spread diseases. Okay. Say bats hang upside down, and yet it acts like a bird. How can a mammal act upside down and it's still behaving like a bird? It has wings and it can fly. So these are the mystery or the uniqueness behind this wonderful creature. Yes, people say bats eat and defecate from their mouths. All right, this is actually a popular belief here in Africa, especially from the Western community, within the West here that I have done so much work. Well, they say when you open up a bat, you meet another bat. So how true is this? How is this link? Well, we will have to unravel this somehow. The Shangwe tribe from Zimbabwe, they have linked their indigenous knowledge with science, and they believe that when you see bats around, you know that dry seasons are knocking on the door. And that goes especially for the fruit bats, because they have the ability to migrate. They have seasonal migrations. Then other methodologies from some other African countries, they believe that you use bats to cure poor eyesight. You can use it to usher in dry season. You can use it to have agricultural productivity. And this belief or this myth is also shared amongst the Yoruba people here in the Southwest. And they also believe that when you hang a bat in front of your door, it has the ability to chase away these diseases that we believe that bats are spreading. These indigenous people believe that they chase the evil spirits that spread diseases. The Chinese people love bats. They relish meat in their delicacy. And they also believe that it brings good fortune. When you have bats around you, it's the symbol of wealth, happiness, peace, and long life. And this is also shared among some of the Yorubas that we have worked with here in the Southwest. They believe that bats connote peace, advancement, productivity, fertility. It is used to cure madness and improve intelligence. So they believe that if somebody is having problem in assimilating, when you cook a very nice concoction with bats, I mean, that person will become very smart. Okay, how true is that? So let's take a visit to the Southwest. So much of this work has been done in Omo Biosphere Reserve since 2009. In 2009, 2012, we've been working here, and also within Ibadan Metropolis and in some of the wildlife markets. And from this work, we have been able to survey 424 respondents so far, and we have asked various questions surrounding knowledge, surrounding needs, surrounding perception, surrounding perceived vulnerability to diseases, and how is it that they believe that we should conserve bats, and the results very fantastic. So you find out that from the rural areas, they have very good knowledge about bats. So a lot of them believe that bats have eyes compared to the people in the rural areas that believe that bats are blind. In the urban area, that bats are blind. People in the rural area believe that bats are not blind. The people in the urban area believe that bats are birds. But people in the rural area believe that bats are not birds. People in the urban area believe that bats are witches. They are linked with witches. But people in the rural area believe that no, what brings good cannot be witchcraft, though there is a link that people can use this. People use various things to do various things anyway. So, I mean, this knowledge, the people from the rural areas have excellent knowledge about bats. Okay, let's see, what do they think about the myth? The people in the rural area have more positive myths. So we try to check for positive myths and negative myths. People in the rural area have more positive myths about bats compared to the people in the rural area. So people in the rural, compared to people in the urban area, people in the rural area believe that bats are good creatures. They bring good things, productivity, high yields. They are used to solve different challenges brought about by human factors or whatever factor. But people within the urban area have otherwise. They believe they have more to the negative than to the positive. Okay, when we try to check, you can see here for the index is higher for the rural area compared to the urban area. When we checked for how much do you think that bats can spread diseases, the people in the rural area don't believe that bats can spread diseases. In fact, they welcome bats at any time. They believe that we are the ones that are bringing the diseases. I mean, people from the urban, they advance compared to the urban people believe that yes, bats can spread disease, but as much as you don't come close. So we try to, after this research, after some of these outings, we try to have like a backup outreach, community outreach with a lot of these people, and we try to settle out the fact that bats are no vampires. Though we have vampire bats, they are called vampires because they suck the kind of lap blood from injured cattle or injured wild animals, but not like they come to purposely attack humans to suck our blood, no. And they are more to the Americans, the North America and the Central America. And here in Africa, we don't have vampire bats, so nobody should be afraid of bats anymore. After this presentation, I want you to embrace bats. So, and specifically, they take advantage of the wound that is on any mammal to lap the blood. And they try to produce an anti-clotting agent that do not allow the blood to clot. So they keep having something to feed on. So this is a kind of a conflict for the farmers, between the wildlife and the farmers. And in many of these places where this is very rampant, there is a lot of work going on, collaborative work, to be able to control as much as possible how these bats affect or attack their livestock. Well, bats are not rats and they are not birds. They have different behaviors. Like for the rats have high reproductive rates. Unlike the bats they have exchanged their reproductive rate to long life. So they reproduce at low rates, but they have longevity. So they can live longer, they have a longer lifespan compared to the rats. They have the ability to fly. Rats cannot fly, but some can glide, like we have the flying squirrel. So it doesn't fly, but can glide. They feed on insects and on fruits. So they have wild varieties that they help us to, in terms of ecosystem services, the way they perform their own ecosystem services seems to be a little bit more advanced compared to the rats. And they are more closely related to humans than to the rodents. So, I mean, this should balance a lot of things in our thinking, that bats on its own, they are unique. And this will link the reason why they are reservoir of various diseases or various viruses that can mutate when they get into humans, if not properly handled. Let us look at some of these myths that people have talked to us about, this positive myth. They said bats eat and defecate from the mouth. Ajepo, nitadon. That is, when a bat eats in the mouth, it also defecates from the mouth. well, we try to find out what do they use this for. So they believe that they use this, the ejector from the mouth of the bat to treat poison. They use it to treat many body ailments like body pain. When they have it in concoction form with something else, with some other traditional soups, soup spices, and it is also used to treat tuberculosis. But we're able to tell them that bats do not defecate from the mouth because they believe that bats don't have an anal system, an alimentary system. So we're able, from our research from the field, we're able to show them that bat has anus, they have reproductive organs, and they eject out what they cannot swallow. Okay, they eject out what they cannot swallow. And they try to, especially for the fruit bat, this is more with the fruit bat. So this is an Eidolon alveum, the short-colored fruit bat. It is more common in the urban areas or in town. So we're able to explain to them that when a bat gets this fruit, they chew it, they squeeze out the juice. The fleshy or the part that they cannot swallow is what they eject out. So Ajepo call it Adon. So Adon has, it has the anal part where it passes out its waste. The ones they cannot swallow, they actually pass it out as ejector. And this has been worked extensively. Professor Okon of Ife in 1984 has done some extensive work on this and how true this myth can be. And a lot of these rural indigenous people have also told us that these things really work. So when you open up a bat, you meet another bat, atole dole nitadon. So we're able to explain to them that the reproductive nature of bats is very unique. So if you want to open up this pulp, so this is a pulp of the dwarf fruit bat. Okay, so if you open up this pulp, you don't expect to meet another pulp inside this pulp because we have tried it and we do not see any pulp in this young pulp. Okay, so atole dole nitadon is true in the African sense because bat has a high reproductive hormone. They have the ability to delay reproduction or to delay fertilization until the environment is very suitable for them to produce their young ones. So when you open up, this is Zenka fruit bats, Scotoniteris zenkeri. They are very small. Like the Yoruba people believe that this is Omo Adon, but this is they are matured bats on their own. This is a male and a female bat, and they were trapped at the same time. I'm sure they are possibly copulating, something of that nature. And at this time that we trapped these bats, when we palpated them, there was no sign of pregnancy. So bats in the real sense have the ability to store up sperm. The female bats have the ability to store up sperm between 30 months to almost 6 months before they have their young ones reproduce. Like the study we carried out here on a particular insect bat here in the Southwest, we found out that during March, April, between February, March, and April, these bats are actively reproducing. We have them give birth to their pup, even sometimes while we handle them. But from August to around November, when you capture this bat, from July to around November, when you capture this bat, the females ones, you cannot find them with any pulp, any foetal signs on the inside. And the Yorubas believe that because of this ability for bats to delay fertilization for a long time, and due to the research that was performed by Professor Okon in 1984, in the 1980s, where he realized that the bat has very high reproductive hormones. This is the reason why the Yoruba people believe that when you have a woman that has a challenge with infertility or having a challenge of having a young one or reproducing, they will cook this bat with some other concoction And when this woman eats this bat, she has the ability, she'll be able to give birth. And from our questionnaire, from the responses from our questionnaire, more than 90% of our respondents believe that this is true. Bats are not blind, they can see. So for the insect bats, they have a poor developed eyesight. They have exchanged this for good sound system. But for the fruit bats, which I have shown on this slide, the slide on the right, this is the biggest bat in Africa. This is called hammerhead bat. And you can see how big the eyes are. So their eyes are well developed for the night vision. They are able to discern, to see colors. While the insect bat will maneuver within the environment using sounds called echolocation. Now, because of this very good eyesight of the fruit bat, the indigenous people believe that when somebody is having a problem with the eye or with vision, they will take some portion or particular parts of the eye, make it with some concoction and cook it for some period of time. The person that is having a eye problem uses it, the eye problem will be remedied. We're also able to explain to them that bats actually carry lots of diseases, especially for the colonial species. So this picture here is a colony of Eidolon eelworm. And we're able to explain to them that these bats do not show signs of any of these diseases. But they were able to tell us that, look, the way we handle wildlife here, when we kill a rat or when we kill a bushmeat, we cook, we roast, we cook, we fry, we do a lot of things that no disease can survive in that kind of environment. These are indigenous people telling us this. And they also told us that what God creates cannot harm humans. So they have their belief attached to the fact that though we say that bats carry diseases, they don't think that bats carry disease because they use this bat to also solve these disease problems that we say bats or any other wild animal can spread. So there is another belief that in the absence of fruit bat, this is a fruit bat, we can use the insect bat to make sacrifices. So what they actually use this for is to actually place classifications. So they do not know how to say this bat eats insects because they don't know that this one eats insects or this one eats fruits. So we're able to also explain to them that aside from you using a replacement for the fruit bat, these bats are very important in the environment. The insect bat that they call obe is used to, they control insect population in their farms, within their environment. And the fruit bat, which is on the left, they help to disperse, pollinate. This particular species is called the lesser epaulette fruit bat. And it feeds more on nectars, pollens, and also some smaller fruit, not the big fruits. So we're able to explain this to them that this classification, these two groups of bats have the role that they play within the environment. So they believe tabaradon, afi obe, shebo. Bat hanging upside down is because of their uniqueness. And they have adapted a unique position in that they have specialized tendons that are lightweighted. So when they're in this position, it helps them to take off easily during flight takeoff and escape from predators. And it also reduces competition for roost points. And moreover, it is not only the bats that hang upside down. Do you know sloths too hangs upside down? Okay, so that's a food for thought. So we need to stop this persecution. These bats are mysterious. Why do they hang upside down? So they are not the only ones that hang upside down. And the Yorubas or the people from the West believe that bats are used to treat, this particular feature is used to treat madness and lack of intelligence. So I've talked so much about the seasonal migration. So if you look around you right now, for people around, if you can take some observations, you see that the Eidolon eelworm, they are coming back. So they are telling us that the dry season is around the corner. So if we come to November, December, January, February, and we do not see the Idolon, then climate change is really telling on us. Then something is beginning to happen. I mean, they are giving us an information that we need to pay attention to. So in summary, whatever it is that we do, the indigenous people believe, the beliefs that they have, using it in rites and sacrifices, the place of research is very important. And as we find that we do this research, we try to extend our knowledge to the younger generation. We also speak to the indigenous people in various communities that we go to. We do not leave the young children out. They are very, very important in this issue that is on ground about bats. So I'd like to thank all these wonderful funding bodies, the Forest Research Institute. They've been there for us at OMO. AP Leventis, they've been instrumental to my research, Rufus Grant, NCF, Bat Conservation International, and the BMMRG, the group, this research group that I belong to. They've been very, very instrumental in all of this work. So I like to say, I'm a bat, I'm not a witch, I'm not a vampire, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. That is a wonderful presentation from Mrs. Esther Adeyanju. We thank you for your well thought out. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Esther Adeyanju, for that wonderful delivery. You have given us another insight into the importance of bats and trying to correct our notions over time of bat eating and defecating from the mouth. Despite the fact that some of us are conservation or natural resources students, we still hold to that belief that bats eat and defecate from the mouth. I think from today henceforth, some of us will have different opinions regarding the myths surrounding bats and their importance and role in our ecosystem. Thanks again for that wonderful delivery.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Without wasting much of our time, I think we are going into the questions and answer segment, where we'll tend to ask a whole lot of questions surrounding the topics that we've discussed. And I think some of us still have a whole lot of beliefs that we will want you guys to help us undo. So we are going to throw the questions open to yourself and the professor, so that you people can hear about that and how we tend to relate with them.
So if you
You're
want,
welcome, except I have just 30 minutes to go, but I'll be here for the next 30 minutes.
Yes,
okay,
thank you very much, Prof.
It's fine, it's okay. I'm ready for questions.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Michael, you can speak now. You are raising your hands.
Yes, thank you. Can you get me well? Are you getting me well?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Michael.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My question is about Esther. Can you help me know the difference, how to differentiate between a male and a female bat?
Okay. So the female bat has the mammary gland. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so the female bat has, it has a mammary gland, and the male bat has the secondary sexual characteristics that every male individual has. Like has the penis, they have the scrotal gland. So here, can you see this slide here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So why is my slide now? They have, okay, let me use this. This here, you can see the scrotal sac underneath here. Can you see what I'm touching here?
Yes, I'm seeing.
Yeah, so that is the scrotal sac. This is how we know a male bat. And where my hand is holding up, that is the penis. So here we are trying to take some samples for a disease study. So this is the male bat. So they usually have scrotal sac and the penis area, which is at about 1 meter or 1 centimeter distance from the anal region. While for the female bat, they have the female secondary characteristics, which is the mammary gland. You can see it here. Can you see the mammary gland here?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is the mammary gland, and this is also aside. So when we trap this bat now, I want to know if this bat is reproducing or is having a young, about to have a young. We power mammary gland to see if there is going to be milk. So they actually also produce milk to feed their young, to feed their pup. So that is also when you get a bat and you want to know if it's a male or a female, these are the things you look out for. Sometimes in the insect bats, some males usually have false nipples. So the only way you can know if it is a male bat is to check around the scrotal area for the scrotal signs. So the male bats in some insect species, that false nipples is actually there for fast holding, to fast hold the young, their pup, when they are trying to take care of their young ones. Did I answer your question, Mr. Walter?
Yes, you have answered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think Miss Stella, your hand came up next. Dr.
Okay.
Dr. Stella, your hand came up next.
Yes. Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for the very, very enlightening talk. Thank you very much, Prof, and thank you very much, my dear friend. Mine is not a question per se, but a comment. It's really, really good news to hear the update from Prof about the new biosphere reserves that have been added to Nigeria. It is very exciting. It shows that there is still, as the growth that we are encountering in conservation in Nigeria, the work that is being done is yielding results. I am very, very happy to hear that. One question I have for Prof is, with the important role you have been playing, one of the major challenges that we have been still having in conservation of wildlife is bushmeat trade. There is a lot of research, but every time we go out, there is no enforcement. What can we do to collaborate with the government in the area of enforcing the restriction on bushmeat trade, especially in the trade of wildlife, endangered species, which is very common in Nigeria?
Thank you so much. Let me quickly do justice to that. I want to toe the line of what is happening today. I'm in government, so I don't want to criticize government, but I want to encourage particularly the youth. And I'm quite excited today to see the independent work Esther is doing, and to also encourage that when you do this kind of work, don't keep quiet over it, because there are a lot of support out there. The only contemporary field that is being funded worldwide now has to do with conservation, has to do with protection of natural resources, and has to do with environment in general. So you must come out and let people know you are doing something about this. Oh, you asked me, how do I come out? Send your report to government. Send your report to government. Let them not do anything. Send it online, send the hard copies, and something will definitely happen. Now, back to your question about the illegal trade of bushmeat and other wildlife issues. The point is that we need more of NGOs. Why? Because if you go to rural area, if you go to Omobanswere Reserve now, who caters for the people, the inhabitants, the communities around the biosphere Reserve. They're on their own, and so they have to survive. But if, like we had 2 years ago in Omobanswere Reserve, where we selected 200 inhabitants, we got some money from Korea government to empower them. Yes, if you go check that project again, it's not as successful as we expected because of the Nigerian factor. Moment we left Omobanswere Reserve, we empowered them, 50 of them on fish farming, 50 on grass cutter domestication, 50 on snakery, 50 on mushroom. They at least spent 3 months there when they left and squandered the whole thing. Now I had to go back there to empower Clifford to resuscitate those business and now hire them as laborers to work there so that let them have something they are earning. So if they don't have those kind of businesses or enterprises or livelihood, definitely they must poach on your animals. But if NGOs like WCS and Co are formed in Nigeria and force government to review the sanctions, then if anybody poach an animal and go to jail of 3 months, then the community will know it's not a big crime. It's only in free colleges and establishments that we have imposed that animal as the right of way. I was in number one day and a python was passing. The people in the vehicle with me wanted me to run over the python. I said, no, he owns the road. I have to wait for it to pass before I can pass. And they were looking at me as if I had some issues. How could you allow a meat as big as this to escape? And I had to take my time to lecture them that if you remove that alone, it's a host to a lot of other chain. Then you are not safe. Reluctantly, they agree with me. But they were still imagining how much meat they would have made from that python. So we need more of NGOs who will do more of enlightenment and we'll get better with that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take
Thank you very much.
questions. 2 more questions. Yakub and Ololade, and then we wrap up. Yakub.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is directed to both Prof and Mrs. Esther. As we're all aware, urbanization is, to me, is a global pandemic because in the course of urbanization, we tend to intrude into the natural habitat of wild animals and which birds tends to fall into place. owing to that fact that urbanization is a global pandemic and we are intruding into their habitat, and in as much as we are intruding, it's also a benefit to us because we're trying to go in line with the modernity of the 21st century. So how do we tend to live in harmony with bats per se? Because I have seen in neighborhoods where bats are overly abundant and they become like a nuisance to people living in such neighborhood, then then it then tends to create like a war between the bats and the people living in such neighborhood. At one instance, they tend to bring down the tree that the bats tend to cluster upon so that they can go away. So now I I want to ask Prof specifically because he has made mention of conservation awareness. How do we tend to amplify this role by making people to understand more? And he had already said they need more of NGOs. And we know in Nigeria today, doing an independent research is quite cumbersome, especially when it has to do with the financial attributes of getting the information out, especially now that we are in the world is like a global community where we can connect one end to another. But more of this role has to be done with the people living in the rural community where these things are so much in abundance. So how do we support the NGOs that tend to go into that particular space of sensitizing people? This is directed.
Thank you, Yakubu. We are breaking that barrier and we're changing the narrative. And that's why I'm on this program today. I don't treat NGO with levity because they are mostly driven by passion. Their commitment is not because anybody's paying them, but because they have passion in doing it. So the narrative is changing. And if you come to frame, I have a whole department that's engaging NGO. I fund NGO. Once your work is going to contribute to why I am in frame. The point is that my job is to secure the environment, expand the forest cover, conserve as many grants as we can conserve. So if somebody is independently coming to help me, and it's not saying, feed me, he said, just fund my work. That's why I work with a lot of NGO now. If you ask NCF, we have funding collaboration. If you ask BirdLife, they will tell you I'm always with them. If you ask Life Builder, I'm with them. One Tree, all of this, I work with them. I work with them because I want to give them that impression that I appreciate what they are doing. Now, that is the second leg of it is about the bats. That's why we don't like exposing as much as Esther has exposed the secret of bats today. Because the moment Nigerians knows these are concealed research findings that we don't like bringing out. Moment Nigerians or the people knows that bat is as innocent as it is, then the more they will feed on it. Once people know that it has no meat, once people know that it has no bad luck, once people know that it's not a witch, it's not a vampire, then they'll go after it. That's how they finish the vulture. So, but we don't tell people that bat is a good bird. We don't even tell people that it's a mama, that he has his own life to live. Yes, Yoruba will tell you, Ajepo, yes, it's Ajepo. But it's not true. It's because bat cannot digest fiber. If bat digest fiber, he always suck the juice and throw the fiber out. But if you tell them, some people say, then it's a good meat. Then they'll go after it. But because they see that it regurgitates and throw it out. So some people dislike it for that. And I encourage them with it. I'll tell them that is the nature. If you dislike it, just stay away from it. Because if they had known this much about the good side of bat, then we have no bat again in 10 years' time. People will go after it. So the point is, we must embrace urban conservation, urban protection, and that's why we're even penetrating the architectural people now and working with most of the Ministry of Land and Housing. The good news is that myself and my minister, about 6 months ago, met with Governors Forum, and we have gotten their commitment, and they are dedicating chunk of land in most of the state now. At least I've received more than 10 letters from more than 10 governors, dedicating chunk part of their states to conservation and afforestation. Why did we ask them to give us a Gazette document? So that if this particular governor leaves, another one will not come and say, I'm taking over that land. So we commit all the governors to write to us and say, I've signed out this particular part of my state for conservation and afforestation. And we are following up with MOU that we're not interested in anything about the land. We're going to plant it up. We are not interested in the social benefit of the land. We're not interested in the economic benefit of the land. We're only interested in the environmental benefit of the land. So the state can take any fruit from the place. We're going to engage their people to do the planting. Their people can begin to do agroforestry on the land. And they can even earn the carbon credit when the time comes that will begin carbon trading on those land. So with that, they were excited to embrace it. And we are taking cement to them for free. So we can have more land covered by forest, so that even if a king or an oba decide to cut the tree that bats are fetching in his palace, they can always find somewhere better. But they should not eat them. That's our campaign. Don't eat them, because what we are telling them now, if you eat them and you believe that they are host to a lot of zoonotic disease, then when the disease cannot find bats again, he will pick you as the host. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Tayo, quickly.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Can I add one or two things?
Please, go on.
Ms. Adeyanju, you can go ahead.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Thank you, Prof, for that enlightenment. Well, it's actually, because we are on ground, and it's actually a complex situation. But during the Ebola outbreak, we are...
You are busy.
I think it's a network.
This is having network issue.
Out in the field, and the rate at which, because there was... Hello, can you hear me?
You are breaking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, so during the Ebola outbreak, we were out in the field to work, to do some work, and then we had some outreaches, and the people believe that these bats don't have Ebola. So it's actually a complex situation, and we try to really intervene, to talk to them, and some of them actually, attitudes to things will take some time to change. So constant presence and feedback from research is actually helping out, especially using Omo as a case study for us in West Africa. For in Southwest Nigeria, compared to other places in West Africa that we've been to. And it's helping the change of attitude of many people towards, especially the consumption of bats. And to come to Yakub's question, for the ones that you think they constitute a nuisance, it's actually because there is a displacement of what is the preferred. So they begin to use what is available, which humans too we can do at. anytime. So what I would advise in that, like Prof has said, when you call, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Hello?
can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, okay. So when you because these bats actually don't find the species that they wish on. They find whatever available, especially for the colonial. So we want to call down a tree species, then we need to ask ourselves questions. When I cut these trees down, what is going to happen? Would they come to my garden and invade my mango tree or invade my pear tree? So these are, before we do anything, we need to consult, say, the specialist in some of these related fields. That's one. For the insect bats that are found in those ceilings, you know, they like to stay in the roofs, and some of them fly inside the house, and we are ready to finish them when we see inside the houses. There is a simple way. They come in for the insects, number one. They are in the roof for the microclimatic condition that place is providing. In the absence of the caves or hollow of a tree. So what you can do is that we advise that you can try to find out where they are coming in from or where they are going out from and close the vents the moment they go out. So they have the time they move out and the time they come in. But also putting in mind that whatever we do in our environment must be what we support their persistence. Because like Prof said, if these viruses or the particular insect that affect our agricultural produce don't find what is feeding on them, then they bounce on us. Then we begin to have a lot of repercussions due to their absence. Then coming to the bushmeat aspect, I mean, I would just stop here. It's a complex situation, actually. But I believe we are getting results, just like Prof has said, one day at a time.
At a time. Thank you very much.
Okay, Tayo, 1 minute. 1 minute. We have to round up because Prof has to go.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Please. I have a question or perhaps a comment for Prof. When Prof said they have to scare the animal. Personally, I don't think it's the right attitude. I don't think it's the right conservation attitude because I believe animals need to be loved. When we teach and give them the right information, let us educate them to love this animal. And then I'm sure they will see a lot of positive changes towards that. But when you educate people to fear the animal, they have this, they have that, they have this, they have that. How sustainable will that be, sir? That is number one. Then number two to Mrs. Lani, to the other one, speaker, please. My question is that what is the population of this of that? I suppose they are declining. What is the population in your field of studies? I mean, at Omo Reserve, what is the population of the whole animal, if there is? Then secondly, you said you took sample. I want to know, you do the parasite prevalence. I want to know if the kind of parasite you found there and everything like that, please. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Probably you didn't get my point well. I didn't say they should fear the animal. I always said don't give them information that is a delicacy. People don't fear it because they think he defecate through the mouth. They only fear it's irritating. And by the time we tell them that he's a sucking animal, he only suck the juice and he cannot consume the fiber and throw it out, then people find out it's a delicacy that can be consumed. After all, it's not the feces that's coming out of the mouth. So we are not saying, but either we say they should fear it or not, the native meat that is witch related cannot be removed from the native because in anywhere in Africa, 70 to 80% are still in the rural setting, and that's their belief, and you can't take it away from them. The point is that the last submission you made is what is of importance to us. What was the population of this mama 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago? What is their population now? How do we conserve what is left? Is any of the species going to extinction? If that is true, how do we conserve them to make sure that generations unborn will have an idea of what we're talking about? I think that's our primary drive for now, to see how much we can conserve what is left and prevent them from going to total extinction. I don't know whether Esther has to add to that.
Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. For the, I will start with the last one, the population size. It's something that we are still working on, especially for the ones in Ife. So there's something we call Idolon monitoring. So we try to monitor, it's an ongoing work that we are still doing. So we are trying to monitor their population, both the ones in Ife, the ones in Ibadan here, at Buries, UI, IITA. Though we have, sometimes we have some itches, technical itches on pass or not to go in and do our work. That is for these urban, these ones that are physically present in the urban. Okay. Hello.
Yeah,
hello. Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, for the ones that are within that are strict forest species, like for the Idolon Ivrium, right now it has the conservation status of being endangered because the population is declining due to habitat loss. And then secondly, habitat loss. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, I hear you.
And for other forest species, right now for us, we are trying to track down the ones that have, a lot of our species here in Nigeria are actually still kind of data deficient. So when we begin to have a good hold on their population status, then we can say, okay, except for some species that are endangered or vulnerable, just one or two species are in that category. The happenings around the forest area, especially due to expansion of agricultural lands, is a major threat to a lot of the bat species, because a lot of the bat species that we have, they depend on the forest ecosystems. In terms of parasite load, they have a lot of different ectoparasites. We have found some ectoparasites. I myself, I don't even know what they are. We are still trying to identify some of these. So that is also a good field research for somebody who is interested in trying to find out the ectoparasite on bats. So there is still a whole lot of things to be done about this. And just to round up, concerning what Prof said, sir. So in fact, when you ask these rural people about bat, they will tell you when they open up the bat, the inside is totally clean. And that is why they are eating it. Because when you open it up, you cannot meet any undigested food fragment in their alimentary canal that is very clean. And that alimentary canal, I said I could not give too much information. So I think, so it's actually, the work is still unfolding, and it's very interesting, the things that we are seeing. I hope I've answered your question.
All right.
Thank you very much.
We'll take us home now, and I'll just conclude by giving the vote of thanks. Let me introduce myself very quickly. I'm Felix Abayomi, the founder and CEO of Wildlife of Africa Conservation Initiative. And Prof, I would like to very much say thank you to you, and I'm prostrating for you, sir, for giving us the opportunity and the time. As a Yoruba boy, I have to greet you properly, and for honoring us to be here today. You know, we heard you were on a trip, you came back, and you made sure that you're part of us. And we thank you for the work you are doing, for the encouragement you are giving young people like us, to keep on working hard in this field of conservation. With Wildlife of Africa, we have created a platform to be able to support any wildlife professional out there, because we believe that we can't be everywhere. But if there is anybody and says, for example, oh, you want to work in this particular community, we will do what we can to support you. We don't have the finance, but we will also raise funds for such, conservationists. Mrs Adeyanju, we thank you also for giving us the time. And I would like to see Wildlife of Africa as part of the organization supporting your research. So if you would have us, and then we'll support your work. We would like to discuss more about your work with you. Adeni can take it up from there, but in the interim, as in my personal capacity as a founder of Wildlife of Africa, I'm announcing a personal grant of 100,000 naira for your project. So we would we'll make arrangements to get that to you. But as an organization, we will still want to support you, in your project, because I did my first degree research on ethno-knowledge, and I'm interested in local ecological knowledge. I'm very interested in us developing it. I mean, it's good even when you talk of indigenous peoples of the world, we need to be able to, have our own knowledge and share it with other indigenous people of the world. And thank you so much. And Prof, one more thing, whatever we can do also as an organization to be able to participate in the new biospheres, we will be interested. Whatever we can do, we will do.
We have a lot of things to go together. The world is coming to Nigeria next year. I'm bringing the MAP ICC as a whole to Abuja. And that's why I'm saying all of you are pursuing one major work in the area of conservation as an NGO, and others should please write to us. Let's know what you are into, then we can see area of collaboration and expose you to UNESCO and the UN that these are the people doing this in this area in Africa, so that a whole lot of others who probably do not have this initiative are benefiting resources that they are not even utilizing. They just write report and submit back. So please let's know exactly the details of what you're doing. I think I've just built the largest aviary around Africa here in Spain. Find time to come there. We want to see some of these big parts or whatever bird that is going into extinction. They can conserve here now, and we'll make adequate provision to make sure we just give the future generation hope that they have a world to live when they come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I used to come to Spring. My first experience with grass cutters was
okay.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone. If everyone can please turn on their video so that we just take a screenshot, a group photograph together before we end. You can turn on your videos.
Mr. Felix.
Yes.
Mr. Felix.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for bringing me on. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I really want to thank Prof too. I think this is a very nice place to meet him one-on-one. I've been longing to meet him anyway.
He's a very good man.
And
please, for a good
I want to thank Nike. Nike has been doing a very wonderful work. Okay, she's a very good follower. She follows me up like
10, 20 times a day. You will text, you will email.
Yes, text, email, text, WhatsApp message. I think she's doing a very wonderful work at the wildlife. Also, thanks to Jacob for moderating. I know I'm going to meet everyone very soon, one-on-one. and especially Prof. Felix too. I should meet Felix.
Yes, we will. We will. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, sir.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, sir.
Fantastic. Fantastic session.
Bye. Bye.